Get off your feet and on the edge of your seat. News and Views is about to begin. Now. As always, I'd like to welcome you right here to News and Views. I'm your host, Charlie Hale. Joining me today, Mr. Brian Ireland, Mr. Kamal Dockett, and newcomer, Gabrielle Rice. So how you doing, Gabrielle?
I'm good. How are you, Charlie?
I'm doing okay. Kamal, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Looking good?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely looking good, huh? You're just letting everybody know you definitely looking good. All right.
Good.
Brian Ireland, you look like Mr. Rogers in your 1980
They're
sweater
actually
today.
doing a remake. They got the movie.
Oh, they are.
And he's getting his
They
stamp.
made me think about that.
they got the movie.
And he's
out.
getting his own stamp, Fred Rogers.
I don't know about all that.
He was. He is.
No, he is. He is getting
He's
his own
getting
stamp.
yeah. I
I
like
remember, do you
Mr.
remember
Rogers'
watching
neighborhood.
that? Did you watch that when you were a kid?
Sesame
He
Street and
changed
Mr.
public
Rogers.
television, by the way. When he
And it was a
first
very
said-
kind man with good lessons. That was a
Oh,
very
really?
good show. Oh, yeah, you never watched Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, I heard,
You
I
don't
heard
remember
he
Mr.
was
Rogers'
good.
Neighborhood?
was he really like that on
He was a
screen?
very, and
He was
very,
always like that. In fact, I'll show you something. When we get
since
off.
this is a New Life production, he was very religious Christian.
He was.
And really lived it, yeah.
He really cared
Okay.
about
He
kids.
reminded
and
me.
their
It
futures.
reminds me of Reverend Ray, actually.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers. Yeah.
Soft-spoken.
No, because he was
Yeah,
very
soft-spoken,
humble.
very
Yes.
humble.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because Tom Hanks is actually playing the character
In the movie.
in the movie. that's
Okay.
coming out.
When's
Well, I
that,
didn't know
Hanks.
Tom
when's
Hanks.
that coming out?
I don't. Sometime later this year.
Oh.
But they're probably filming it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a resurgence in interest in Mr.
Are they
Rogers.
gonna have
Yes.
I hope they don't turn him into an action figure. Or something.
No, I don't think-
Are they gonna have a
think
new
they
trolley
will.
and all that stuff? Or you know,
You know how they
Neighborhood
do.
of Make-Believe?
You know how they make these movies. They blow them up, and you don't even know who Mr. Rogers is after.
I mean,
well, some of the young people, Gabrielle, you know who Mr. Rogers is?
I know who it was, but it was before my
Have
time.
you ever? Well,
yeah,
of course
it
it was.
was.
Have you ever seen it?
you never
Yeah,
watched
on
it.
YouTube.
No,
Google
no, I
Mr.
had
Rogers.
Sesame Street,
Okay.
Veggie Tales.
Right.
Veggie Tales
Well, I think
was my
Sesame
thing.
Street's still in
Yeah,
production,
that's
isn't it?
Still in
It is.
production.
Yeah, still in
Yeah.
production.
They don't have the same people on,
No,
of course, when I was young.
hopefully not.
There's some new people on there now. Some of the people that were on there when I was young, they're probably
But
dead
are
by
like
now.
Oscar the Grouch? Do they still have those same
They
characters?
still have the same character.
He can't be in the can
And then
though anymore.
they added characters too.
He can't be in the
they-
trash
They made
can.
it illegal for him to be in the
Trash
garbage can.
Okay.
People were upset about that. I don't know.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was his whole
Discriminate.
character. His whole
It's
character, the
discrimination.
point was that.
They was
Discriminating against trash. I don't know what the deal was. Who knows? People are always upset about something.
But no, there was an episode where they're talking about like recycling, and they had like a recycling fairy teaching Oscar the
Oh,
Grouch.
wow.
Yeah,
about
they played off
recycling.
of
Maybe
it.
it needs to be in a recycle can instead of a.
Yeah, no, he was teaching him to recycle his garbage. and
Oh,
Oh, there you
wow.
go. There you go. I will have to watch that.
I didn't know he wasn't in the can anymore.
Yeah, they moved him up.
You haven't watched Sesame Street lately?
No, I
I
haven't.
figured that was your favorite show.
No,
right?
I haven't. I had my kids watch it.
Oh,
Folks,
wow.
write us. If you want to hear what's on our hearts and minds, or your hearts and minds, please write us right here. News and Views, PO Box 924, St. Louis, Missouri 63188. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter as well. You can also check us out on email. It's all free and easy. News and Views at knlc.tv. Brian, you're up. You got get up your long sleeves there.
Well, there's always been people who are quote unquote socially conscious and people who care about food and food delivery and people who go hungry, you know, the poor especially. A big issue for them has always been what is done at restaurants and at grocery stores with food that goes unused. And it just seems like, and it's always seemed like to me, such a waste to have things that are still good that at the end of the night for a restaurant just get thrown away. And Kamal was mentioning something to me
Over in
recently
France.
about something in France where they were making it, was it they were making it illegal for restaurants to discard food?
Right.
And if they were, how do you enforce what a restaurant does at the end of their night with their food?
Well, I think they were really targeting. I don't. The grocery stores, like grocery stores, like when you go to Snooks or and I don't know what they have over in France, but for instance, if once food becomes outdated, sometimes Snooks puts dates on the food and then they put it on a separate shelf.
Right.
If it's not sold within a timely matter of 2 or 3 days, it's thrown away. But in France, what they did was that they made it illegal to even throw away food that may have been outdated as far as shelf life, but it's still good. And when pantries and other shelters come to look for that food, there needs to be a surplus of that they're able to pick up. And if not, and they find out that it's been thrown away, they would be fined $4,000.
Okay. I can see both sides. The idea of it, I think, is good. I mean, you're putting something to good use that otherwise would be thrown away. But do we want the government telling private businesses what they can and they can't do?
I think especially,
Isn't that
and I
government
don't
going
know,
too
I guess
far?
in the United States, we don't look at hunger, even though there is hunger in the United States. I don't know what the percentage is.
Do you know how much food fast food restaurants throw away?
Oh,
You can only let that
tons.
food sit there for like 5 minutes or whatever it is. I don't know what the actual regulation is, but it's not very long. And they throw this stuff away into these dumpsters.
Mm-hmm.
There should be no one in the United States going away hungry. Just
Right.
that simple.
Right.
People can't afford food. These places throw so much food away.
But should they be forced to give it away to social service agencies? Yeah, we agree that they should give it away to charity, but should the government force them to give it away?
I think it would be beneficial to the people that are hungry, don't you?
Seriously.
Right.
I think
real
that it's a
question-
good thing to do, but I don't think the government should make them do
I think
it.
they should be encouraged to
The
give
real
it
question
away.
is the government giving them the means for giving it away? Are they providing a program or different facilities where they can give the food? Like I saw one article or one video on Facebook where they had these kind of like vending machines, but they were just kind of like a public refrigerator, and people would just put like food pantry items inside it, and it would just be sitting on the street. So anybody who needed something like that, they could just go up and take it.
So
Okay.
should we have more companies that would go pick this food up from these fast food restaurants and put them in these so-called like a red box? You can go get a
Yeah,
movie, put
kinda
food
like
in a box,
Right.
and let
And
whoever
you
needs
do
it go
have
get
them.
it.
You have Operation.
They're not
Food
losing any
Service.
money on that.
Right. They're not. But I think
If they're
the
government regulated
argument-
boxes, though, they can still
Right.
write it off on their taxes, and people would still be able to eat.
Well, the greatest argument that grocery stores would give is the fact that if someone experienced some type of sickness as a result of this, and then they try to sue, so that's why they said that once things expire shelf life wise, because we know shelf life
You have
doesn't mean
someone
that you
sign a
can't
waiver
consume.
before they take the food,
but
so when
it
they get
doesn't
sick-
happen that way.
that's what they
Normally,
need to do.
normally you pick it up because normally New Life would get some of this food. It would still have the labels of where it came from, so a person can come up, grab the food, and then and eat it, and then say, "Oh, well, I got sick as a result of eating this ham sandwich, that I got from Deerbirds or Snooks."
And I think a lot of corporations, they just throw it away because that's just all that they know to do. They aren't even asked about it, because I know that one time when we were on Locust Street, I was calling different restaurants and asking them if they would donate food, and Hardee's, who has or at that time had their test kitchen at their headquarters downtown.
Okay.
I would go and pick up, it wasn't food that they were throwing away after it was used. It was the food from their test kitchen that was just the extra food that they had at the end of the day, and they would give it to New Life, and I would go pick it up. So it was perfectly good that just nobody had asked them, do we have food? Do you have food that you'd like to donate to us? So a lot of these places, they just
But once
automatically
Hardee's
just throw it
donates
away.
the food to New Life or whoever they're going to give the food to, then it becomes the responsibility of the person that's taking the donee
Right.
of when they're going to disperse the food, because that's the issue you got to see, because the person giving the food out would be responsible for
Right.
for moving the food in the
Right.
refrigerator up.
Let me
and
clarify,
getting
is
that
this
stuff.
just grocery stores and like marketplaces type things, or is this restaurants as well, restaurants and fast food places?
Well, this is actually not occurring in the United States.
Right, but
The rule or the law is in France, but United States, I think there's a growing need to see these plans being implemented. And I don't think in the United States we will ever force someone.
But in France, were they just forcing the grocery stores?
Right,
or was
that's
it
what I'm
also
asking.
Yeah, it was
Then-
they were primarily targeting the grocery
Not
stores.
restaurants.
Right, because
And
I
I
feel
don't
like
know
the
how, I'm not clear on what type, does France have McDonald's like we have? Because I know it's fast
Oh, there's
food.
McDonald's all over the world.
Well, I'm just saying, like, United
Right.
States is like the fast food capital, and we have fast. But I think that in France, they were mainly targeting the grocery stores because at the same time, they didn't want to just give unhealthy food
Right.
to a bunch of. Because typically, when you're getting this food, they want to make sure that it's healthy and it's wholesome to the people that they're giving it to.
So long as they give it before the expiration date, they're not responsible.
Right, but you got to keep in mind the expiration date doesn't really mean that the food has expired.
Right, it's saying Best Buy. This
Right.
is this, you know,
Exactly.
it takes
I
Best Buy
understand,
this time.
yeah.
I
Right.
understand, but
Right,
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
then
because if you're
Take the
hungry,
liability away from them though if they give it away before
well,
the
and then
expiration date.
you bring up a good idea that maybe the grocery stores, and I don't know how they do it in France, but if I had a grocer and I said, yeah, I want to be a part of this, I would simply have them sign a waiver each time they pick up a load. Because at
That's
the end of the
exactly
day,
right.
you don't know how long
How
they
long
could
you
be
gonna have before
driving
you
around.
disperse
They
it.
could be
Right.
driving around in this for 8 hours
Well, that
in the back
and
of
it's
a
the
van.
conditions that the food are put under. So if it's something that needs to be refrigerated, and then whoever goes and picks it up isn't, you know, refrigerating it, then that wouldn't
And
be
that
on the
happens a
grocery
lot
store.
because
That
you're
would be on
picking it
the.
up in cargo vans and vans, and those ham sandwiches are sitting in there for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, man, for real, for 2 or 3 hours. And so
No
I
good.
think that's a concern because I know the United States is typically more stricter as far as food regulations
Definitely.
than other countries.
Definitely. Well, that's an interesting topic. Brian, thanks for bringing it up. Folks, you've been watching News and Views. We will be right back.
Rejoice always. Pray continually. Give thanks in all circumstances. For this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus.
Welcome back. You tuned in. You're watching News and Views. We just heard from Brian Ireland. And joining us today is Gabrielle Rice, sitting in for Pastor Mark Glenn. We're going to hear from her here in just a few moments. But right now, I'm going to turn to Mr. Kamal Doggett.
Yes, we're in the middle of March Madness, and I
It's
know
all exciting.
a lot of people are excited. I'm really excited about. Do y'all participate in March Madness?
Yes.
I watch it.
Participate how? Just watching
Well, I'm
it?
talking
Or-
about
fill out
watching
a
the
bracket.
game.
Well,
Some
talk
people
about
don't-
fill out a bracket. You get a bracket, you bet
some
on the
people get the
games.
brackets, and they not necessarily gamble at work, but sometimes they fill in who they think the Final Four are going to be. And
Who's the Final Four going to be this year? Kamal?
I have no idea.
We got to go with the big ones like Duke. Just
Yeah,
name the big
Duke
ones.
is pretty good. They've not been as good as lately, but they've been the top 10 team. But those Big East teams.
When
are
did
really doing
Villanova
good.
win? Like
They just
2
won
years
in the
ago?
last couple
I
years or
actually
so.
filled out a whole bracket.
Oh, really?
Filled out and had them winning, and had a lot of the. And usually
Wow.
when I fill it out, I'm out by the first weekend.
Oh wow!
And I filled it out and put it all in. But when I was doing it on the computer to enter this, and it was for money. It
Oh,
wouldn't
so you
take it.
gambling.
There was some kind of a,
Well, yeah, don't tell me at a ministry.
that
He didn't do that here.
But right, it was before I got here, and
In the car on the way
there
here.
was a glitch. Listen, there was a glitch though, and so I couldn't submit it. It wasn't going through. I was having trouble with the password or something. So I said, "Well, forget it. I'm not going to win it anyway." And that is the year that I would have
Vanilla.
won it. Yes.
Right. Yeah, Villanova.
no.
Because it was like, well, we aren't accepting your password. And I was like, forget the whole thing. But I
to
would have
get back
won.
on point,
Wow.
I would have
besides
won, like,
the
a few
gambling,
$100.
is that there's a
a
big
lot.
debate saying
Yeah.
that the NCAA we know is I mean the basketball is really big, and they count on a lot of the players, especially the All-American players, to stay around as long as possible to make their teams and to make the overall NCAA better. So, and now they came up with this concept of the one and dones, where they come in for 1 year, once they turn 19 or they complete their freshman year in college, they move on to the NBA. And the NCAA is saying that this is hurting us because our greatest players are not sticking around for 3 or 4 years in the college ranks. And then the NBA is saying that, hey, not only do we want to do away with the 19-year-old rule, we want to be able to go into the high schools and start recruiting 17 to 18-year-olds.
Oh, come on now.
Well, I mean, hey,
No way.
I mean, what are your thoughts about this?
I disagree with it. 100%.
So you saying that the NBA should just maintain the 19-year-old
I think
rule?
NBA should not be able to take any player unless they have at least 2 years in college.
Wow.
They should. I think the NBA should take more of a leadership position and encourage their basketball players to at least get an associate's degree before they're able to play.
Wow.
That's what I think.
Well,
Instead of just taking
but
them
if
straight
you're
out. If
the
you're
NBA
taking them straight out of school, that means they may not even graduate from high school. What happens if they get hurt
Well,
while
they're
playing?
saying that you
they
at
have
least have to
no
have a
future
college,
at all.
you at least have to have a high school diploma. They're not saying that when they
You
start
just said they were going
recruiting,
to take them from 17.
when they'll start recruiting, they'll start looking at them, and then once they graduate, then they can.
Well, they've been doing that anyway.
Well, they still have to be 19. Right now, and they changed that some years ago, that you have to be 19 to be in the NBA. Now, years ago, we know like Kobe Bryant was 17. There were some other people that were 17.
Yeah, LeBron
18 years
James.
old.
It really
Right.
would only affect a very few people who are good enough to go out of high
And,
school
that,
to
and
the
that's
NBA.
the argument, is that they're saying that this is not really going to affect the masses of basketball players. This is only going to affect the LeBron James type players, you know, because at the end of the day, how good is a 17-year-old anyway to be going to the NBA? Not many of them. You know, you got a small
If you're not
percentage.
good enough coming out of high school to go to the NBA, it's not even a choice because you're not going to be drafted.
I understand that.
Right.
I understand
But
that.
but if you are good enough, why should you be prevented from being drafted and being a
why does the
multi-millionaire?
NBA make a deal where they allow them they pay for their 2 years in school, let them get their associate's degree, then let them start playing.
Yeah, but then if you get hurt while
You can
you're
make that in
playing,
the
then you're no
contract.
good anymore. Well, if you blow your knee out playing college ball, here you could
Well,
have
then now you don't even
guaranteed
have
money.
Well,
by
sure,
going
Brian. Now you don't
straight-
even have a college degree if that happens, do you?
Yeah, I mean, and this
No.
argument.
No, what I'm saying is, if you make them go get an associate's degree, and they were good enough to go straight to the NBA out of high school and get the money then, guaranteed multi-millions of dollars, you're making them go to college and play ball. They get hurt and they're no good anymore. Then that's it. Yeah, they can still get their degree, but they can get their degree later on if they go straight to the NBA. You can always get your degree. There's no law saying you can't get a degree.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm kind of stuck in between. I'm leaning toward that the NBA should back off and should not be allowed to recruit in the high schools.
I agree.
And for the sole reason is that I think that a young person, a young man or a woman, should at least get a year or two in college
Absolutely.
to
But
develop
why?
themselves.
If they can
Because-
get their
see,
money
but see,
right
this
away,
really-
Because it's a different mentality.
It's
When
not
you
a
go into
different mentality.
It is a different mentality.
It's not even just about getting a degree. It's about having time to mature and really understand.
But if you can,
What you want in your
if you
future.
can say, listen, you're going to get a 5-year guaranteed contract worth $150
But it
million.
doesn't work that way anyway.
Yes,
The
it does.
NBA
LeBron James, Kobe Bryant,
No,
their
the
first
first year-
contracts were multi-million-dollar guaranteed contracts. And again, this only affects a very few people.
In the NBA, they're starting salary caps for your first year, where you can't come in
Regardless,
your first year.
why am I going to take the chance I'm going to get hurt playing basketball for free?
But you
in
got to look at
college
also too the
when
fact
I could
that,
get the money guaranteed right away.
yeah, but what it but
Makes
like
no
Charlie
sense.
said,
The money turn around and spend it all
right,
because he doesn't
like
have
Charlie
the mentality
said,
to
that what
learn
if
to save
what
money.
happens
You
that
could,
you
but
20
give me that choice.
How many people won the lottery and they're broke in a year?
Give me the choice to,
Because they
to
weren't
blow
told
it
by
all.
You got
finances.
players. You got players
They're
that
broke.
have been broke. You got, especially in boxing. Look at Holyfield. He made $100 million in his career. Now he's selling can openers
Yes,
or
and you can
something.
get-
I mean, you know,
you can
look
blow
at
your-
Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson made $250 million, and he's broke.
Right, and you can get broke after
No
going.
financial
You
advisors.
can get broke after waiting 2 years and blow it then anyway.
I mean,
Anybody can blow
Darius
their
Miles.
money.
Darius Miles from East St. Louis. He was another example. Came straight out of high school, made a lot of money, and then a few years later he was broke out of the NBA.
They do it in
because he
tennis,
didn't
they
have
do
a
it in
degree.
golf.
And you got a degree to fall back on. At least say you at least can go out and get a job as
And
a
you may
sports
not
trainer
spend
or
that
coach.
money because
You
you've been
can
taught
still
different
get your
morals,
degree.
different values of
Nobody's
what a dollar
saying-
is, Brian.
Nobody's saying you can't get your degree.
But how many
People
times would it happen?
People go to college to get a degree so that they're more marketable and be in a good profession
That's
and
not
be
the only
employed.
reason to go to college.
Yeah,
though.
but it's the main reason.
You got the lady on the panel after you.
People go to college so
I wanna
that
see this.
so that they have marketable skills and they can show that I am proficient.
Okay, but character
in this.
development is
And
just as important
can
as
s-
academic
You're assuming that you can't get character development if you're playing basketball.
I'm not assuming
and
that.
that's true. That's true. But I think that,
And again, golf, tennis, like the Serena Williams, all these people went in. It's like, and these are mostly white sports. They say it's no problem, but the predominantly black
see, that's
play
what you
basketball.
brought, and that's a good story.
They say, well, no, we can't let these
Listen.
black kids get this money, but the white kids, they can
no,
do baseball.
no, it's not saying
It's
that.
not anything about pro-
It's
it's
not,
not
it's
about
not
pro-
about the color. I think
Then why
that-
don't they make them go to college to play tennis or golf? Why are you
But
allowed
nobody, no, but look, nobody.
They should.
They should, but
But this
nobody,
isn't
nobody's
basketball.
good enough.
They're not.
How many people are good enough at 17 to go professional in golf or
That's what I
tennis?
mean, and the same with
thing with
basketball.
football. Nobody's jumping straight out of high school wanting to play in the NFL.
But that's the same.
You know what I'm
Most
saying?
people are
That
It's
makes that
only
point.
basketball that a 17-year-old or 18-year-old can compete
That's
with a
right.
25,
Right.
26-year-old. That's why they zoning in on basketball because
And it's
that's the
very-
only sport.
This
Even
is
in
a free
baseball,
country. No.
even in baseball, you can't compete.
It's a free country. You shouldn't be say you have to go to, even though you can make multi-million dollars at 18, we are not going to allow you to.
All they saying is that wait
we're
till
going to
you
make the
18.
decision for
All
you.
they saying is
Again,
that-
it's government telling people in a
Well, it's
free
not the
country.
government. It's the
Free country.
It's the schools.
It's
Listen,
still Big Brother.
listen. This
It's still Big
situation could be
Brother.
applied
It's not the
to
government.
It's
this
still Big
situation
Brother.
could be applied to a bunch of different things, not only sports, just to anything. If you're graduating high school, you don't want to go directly into your
Yeah,
you know,
don't
future
give me
goals.
$5
You wanna,
million
do you know
this
how
year.
many
I want to
people
go to
change
college
their
instead
major
for the
where
experience.
do you know how many people
No
change their
way.
major the first year of college? People
Let them
change their
change
major
their
like
major.
3 times all the time. That shows that they're not entirely
It's
sure
not-
about their future.
It doesn't. It's not even logical to tell somebody if they have the opportunity to be financially set, their children to be financially set, and their grandchildren to be financially set, that they can't do that. Instead, you have to go to college.
people
You're
do that
assuming
all
that
the
they're going to
time.
have the money in the future.
They're guaranteed contracts. Well, you're assuming that they're going to blow it. You can't do that either.
How often does that happen?
What people? You can't. You
More
can't,
than enough.
No, but you can't do things because say I'm going to
Happens
keep.
a lot.
I'm going to prevent you from doing something for yourself.
We gotta
I'm going
take a
to do
break.
something.
We got to take a break. You all right,
Take,
Brian?
and take a breath. I think he needs to take a breath too.
I haven't seen him this stirred up
Let's
in a long time.
meditate,
His
Brian.
face even got red.
Brian, do we need to meditate?
We'll be back.
No.
folks.
Thanks to New Life Evangelistic Center, thousands of mothers with children around the world can stay together. They can pursue their educations, and they grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thank you to all of our Club 24 members who make this miracle happen.
Welcome back. You're watching News and Views. We just heard from Kamal Dockett. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Gabrielle Rice. Interesting stuff about India. Why it's important to continue their education there. A lot of times they don't have the opportunities that we do here in the United States. Tell us a little bit more.
Sure, yeah. So right now, New Life is, if you don't know, New Life has a bunch of different programs in India. We do feeding programs where we take meals maybe 3 times weekly out to the villages surrounding Kakinada. And that's in Andhra Pradesh, which is southeast India.
You say we, you talking about New Life Evangelistic
New Life
Center?
Evangelistic Center. So we work in partnership with a pastor there in Kakinada, India, and so we kind of financially support them as well as, publicity and
Sure.
stuff
Marketing
like that.
them
So
and
marketing,
whatnot.
right. So we do feeding programs. We have a women's self-employment program where we teach women they go through a 9-month training program. We teach them how to do embroidery and sewing and pottery and painting and things like that so they can create work for themselves rather than being thrown into, sex trafficking and just because that's normally how it goes for a lot
Right.
of women. And then we have 15 free schools. It goes up to 10th grade. In Kakinada, so that's free schools for children in the slum areas.
So when you say free, would it be something equivalent to here in the United States as a public school, so to speak?
Like a public school, but it's not run by the government. So it's
Run by private entities?
it's run privately.
Churches
so,
and whatnot? Or
right, with our church in India, I guess. So they're all Christian high schools.
Okay.
So we involve prayer and in the beginning of each school day and I know I think in each class as well they pray and
Now they only go to
study
they
the
only go to
Bible.
school till the 10th grade. You said.
they only go to school until 10th grade.
So why? What is considered a college level grade over there in India?
So high school and education works differently in India, obviously, but how elementary school works is that you go from UKG and LKG, which is preschool and kindergarten, and that goes, and then you go from 1st grade to 5th grade, and that's elementary, and then 6th to 10th is high school education. So there's no middle school. It just goes from primary to high school, and then 11th and 12th grade is junior college. So at that time they'd have 2 years. They call it +1 and +2. and they actually start their college education. So they'll choose a major, like a Bachelor of Science normally. Bachelors of Science is the most popular. They'll study either technology or science, so computer technology or science, that's or the medical field. And then without those 2 middle years, they're unable to go to higher education, which is,
And do they have to pay for this 11th and 12th grade, so to speak?
Yes.
By
So
their families, parents, or
their parents.
loans?
They need so without all of the children that are graduating from our free schools in the slums are not able to most likely go reach their higher education because they've been going to school for free, and they're unable to since they come from very, very impoverished living situations and communities. They can't afford tuition or board, room and board, or anything like that. So it's really important that we start working on the project that we are working on now, which is opening our first free junior college in Kakinada. So that's, like I said, 11th and 12th grade, and that will give the students who graduate from our high schools the chance to get their higher education, get a degree, and provide for their families.
So kids, are they going to have to qualify for this, or are they just going to be able to just join if they want to?
I think we're going to have.
How's it funded?
Right now, we haven't even started, building it. We're still in the process of getting the funds for building it. We're still kind of trying to figure that part out, how we're going to fund it.
Are kids going to be able to go for free? Are they going to have to still pay something?
They might have to pay a small fee for tuition, but there's going to be scholarships available, and that's kind of where our other programs come into play, where people will be actually able to sponsor a child's education or their scholarship, pay for their tuition. So we already have a sponsorship program for the high school where people can sponsor a student and their education. They can sponsor, so they'll $24 a month. We'll provide them with uniform, all school needs, 2 or 3 meals a day, any sort of school materials, papers, books, stuff like that. So and it doesn't only fund their education. We're able to give care packages to the students as well to take home. So
what's their curriculum over there? Is it similar to the United States?
Very similar. Very similar.
Science,
math,
history.
English. Language arts is really focused on in India, and people don't realize that almost every person who's gone to school in India speaks at least 2 languages, 2 or 3 languages.
Well, they're smarter than we are.
Oh yeah, and people underestimate India's education system. They really do. I mean, every education system has their flaws, but India, they're really they really focus on the future of
Do most
the
of them
students.
teach English there?
You mean the schools?
Yeah, do they teach English?
Yeah, they do teach English.
Okay.
Almost every school is required to teach English, and a lot of the colleges.
What are you laughing about, bro? Why is that? What's the matter?
He's trying so hard to
No.
find something to argue with me
he is.
about.
He
He's
is.
trying.
No, there's
He's turning
nothing.
red because he can't
Yeah,
figure it out.
He's aggravated.
Like,
He's
oh, I
aggravated.
can't find anything.
No, this is it.
Pessimist.
I didn't even know about this. This is informative. I didn't know what was going on.
Because you don't ask me about the work I do.
Well,
Goodness.
no, that's not true.
Whoa!
Things are getting
All right,
hot,
shots fired.
Yeah, right.
As the show ends.
Oh,
Glad you got your
people
vest on.
donate to this, or is
Oh
there
yeah,
anything
if you
like
go
a
to
website, something
yeah,
like
if you
that?
go to our website at www.newlifeevangelisticcenter.org, there's a missions page. So if you just click on missions, you're able to go there and see the different work we're doing in Haiti and Nigeria, but specifically India, and you can donate there.
Sounds great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, Gabrielle. Folks, I'd like to thank you for joining us. You heard from Gabrielle Rice, Kamal Dockett, Brian Ireland, and myself, your host, Charlie Hale. We'd like to thank you for joining us. We'd like to catch you right back here next time on News and Views. God bless.